All right, cool. How's everybody doing? I hope I'm not too close to the mic. Okay, my bad. My mic was messing up a little bit. Cool, how are you guys doing? Oh, good, awesome. Interesting. I didn't think we'd reach this high so quick, right here. But yeah, let's see. Looking at DXY, right, here's something cool to note is not necessarily H4. I want to say like a daily, but these are pretty much the effects, right, of what a transition can do, right, via the whatever structural range, whatever structural level they're at, right? Because question one for today would probably be where or what, how would you characterize security with moves, if that makes sense? Because I know I covered this in the course, but what do you guys, or what would you guys say is the correlation between security and moves, if that makes sense? If not, I can reword that. What is the correlation between security, right, and structural levels? And right, the higher security, the bigger the move. And then yeah, and we can take that a step further today because, for example, I'm going to delete all of this today. So a bullish transition, right? I know at the time we were anticipating something like this, excuse me, but something that I also this is something that I'm going to keep in my mental notes now too, is when we clear liquidity on one side then the other, right, and especially when this is already bullish, then that's really just a bullish transition, which is something that I noted from this scenario while it was happening, or after that it's happened. So understanding that this is I would say about 3-month-long move, right? It took a very, very long time to develop. It is on the daily time frame, but we see that as a swing structural level. So because we see this massive transition in play, right, the result, as you can see, has been pretty big. I'm sorry if you guys can hear my neighbor's dog. It's so annoying. But anyways, with seeing moves like this, right, it's important to realize that not necessarily, I mean, you won't necessarily get every single continuation here because the transitions have occurred here, right? And that's very, very applicable here with EURUSD, for example. Once we started seeing the dive, it was all intraday continuations. It was no bullish transition, no bearish transition off of bullish pullbacks. Because, for example, right, we did take liquidity, but there was no internal transition really, outside of the scenario we mentioned on the last call, which was last week, right? But immediately after that, that's why you see these, these continuations here. So today's lesson would probably be right, understanding when a transition is in play, not only how far will the move go, but how many realistic types of scenarios will I get based on whatever data is being given to us, right? So the question asked in the gray box on the daily is, why should we assume a WLG when price is showing us bullish data? Exactly, right? And that's why if we go back into this section, that's why this here is so important. That's why this disruption here is so important, because if you guys recall, right, just pretty much how I always go about these calls is, hey, look, I can't necessarily make too big of a prediction. I can only make an assumption based on the current data that I have. And at the current data here, it did look, hopefully it doesn't, is it distorted? One second. Is that good? Okay, cool. So at the time, in this moment here, we were technically bearish. Why? Because our internal preliminary low was taken out after, right, a run of our previous high, which is the definition of an internal bearish liquidity grab, right? And that bearish liquidity grab is then obviously seen with a confirmation. Now, well, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will say, well, why didn't you look for a sell and a premium? Well, that's why solidified points is always a good thing to know, because there is a confirmed reaction here, meaning this is a solidified high. And once a solidified high is then taken, that's what then is the transition to go to the upside. These are your realistic scenarios, and you realistically want to be in a move before it happens, because once the move happens, you don't necessarily get an entry, right? Because I know a lot of, I would say a good 70-80% of you are trading on a daily basis, meaning you're probably looking for, at the bare minimum, an intraday scenario, right? And for some, potentially a scalp. So whenever you're trying to look for those intrades and scalps here, right, what if you don't get that scenario? Well, that's because you got to understand that the security is in the higher time frame, in the higher structural level, in the bigger transitions, right? Because then these transitions right here, and then you obviously now then use lower time frame refinements to find your scenarios. That's what creates those quote unquote high risk to reward scenarios, right? But unfortunately, the thing that, you know, a lot of people sometimes don't understand is that not every move is necessarily a, you know, high risk to reward type of move, where you can only go based on what is given to you. And if nothing is given to you, then obviously, for example here, if nothing is given to you, then realistically you just have to sit that out, right? But it's not necessarily now about overthinking it and telling yourself, okay, all right, I don't know what is going on with this mic, guys, but I'm gonna need to fix something. Hopefully you guys can hear me good now. But anyways, right, with these moves, with these just pretty much these quick runs where they're usually for liquidity, which is, right, obviously the target we had been noting since when? Since about, I would say, early March. So it has been about a month and a half. We've now seen that liquidity be cleared, and you guys know that we typically don't like to look for immediate continuations once we have seen a big point of liquidity be taken, unless there's obviously a clear bullish transition in play, right? So as of now, our target has been met. This is our target that we've been pretty much looking for, right, over the past, it's honestly, I think it's been since February. I can't recall exactly what I've said in February, but we have considered, you know, obviously the possibility, right, that because we have now a solidified low and our pretty much our preliminary high here based on high low retracement that's been taken out, then we're technically left with unwillingness. And because the unwillingness, you know, obviously did not take out your previous structural range, that was what pretty much created the case for us that, hey, like this could really just be bullish. Because, and I forgot what day exactly we did this, but whenever we looked at this from a 2-week time frame, right, and you guys remember when we talked about this, why the bullish scenario actually makes a lot more sense. So I mean, hey, 2-3 months later, here we are, and I think that's really cool for you guys to see that, because I hate being that guy that's like, fuck retail or fuck retail strategies or do the opposite of the masses. I'm not necessarily that I'm against that, but that's not what I believe in now as a trader. What I believe in as a trader is focusing on your controllables, right, via models, via rules, right, and creating those pretty much rule sets that fit you, that fit the time that you trade, right, and fit the pairs that you trade. But coming back to that argument, really I would say a big chunk of people have wanted dollar to fall. We all have wanted recession, blah, 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 dollar crash, blah, blah, blah. But the signs have shown that we are not bearish, that we have actually been bullish this entire time. And that's why, you know, you want to keep that objective mindset with really trading what you see, not what you want to see. And what you see here is the bullish transition. This here was the catalyst right here. This was the catalyst that propelled us up here, not necessarily the continuation of structure, because up until this point we are bearish because of the internal intraday bearish liquidity grab, but it's because of the order flow disruption that then gives us the data, the sufficient data to then, right, give us, you know, a hunch as to why we should be continuing further. And that's the entire point of models, right? So yeah, I think this is super interesting. I know I didn't make a call on Tuesday because it's pretty much been the same now for, I would say, since here, beginning of the month. Yeah. So I know some of you guys caught some pretty good trades. I have been seeing the Discord. And something that I care about with the Discord too is not necessarily that you're trading every day, not necessarily that you're interacting every day, but just getting those reps in. Getting the reps in matters. I'm a huge believer of at least showing up will give you much more improvement than the person who doesn't show up, right? Even if you don't do a thing, right? And that's, you know, FYI, that's kind of how I got through school. So I'm a big advocate for, you know, at least showing up. But yeah, I mean, the Discord, I've been seeing you guys' messages. It's been very interactive. I really like, you know, the culture that we've really developed over the past couple of months. And I think what's really helped us a lot was, you know, remaining low key. And by low key, I mean, you know, not really promoting, not really, you know, like this is a community where if you know, you know, if your friend is in here, he knows what is provided. And if that's something that X individual wants, X individual is going to join. Simple as that. There's no, you know, there's no pressure, there's no rush, blah, blah, blah. And I think that has really brought forth a lot of cool people together. Like, for example, if you guys look through the group chat, a lot of the same people do talk, but it's very coherent. People help each other, blah, blah, blah. And I just want you guys to know that I genuinely appreciate that, because you guys are getting the reps in, and in the long run, that's really just, that's honestly, that's what matters. So yeah, back to lecture. Cool thing about this, right, is this move actually happened, I believe, on Monday or Friday, almost 22nd. Yeah, so immediately after our pretty much right around where our Zoom was, we had pretty much covered that we were pretty much bearish, and our point of interest wasn't 100% correct, but our bias was correct. And, you know, in my opinion, that's what matters the most. If you can't really get the bias right, you can't really get a trade right. Yeah, it's about helping each other, arguing about bias. You can argue about bias, but put your money in my mouth and see what happens. Yeah, like for example, there's a couple of my friends who are traders, but I don't put them in the group. And that's just because, one, they'll trade differently, and two, I don't want styles to conflict. Because, for example, the way to completely kill the argument of arguing over bias is, can a scenario have the same result using different qualities of the same method, if that makes sense? Yes or no? Can you get the same result with a move using different qualities of the same method? Yes or no? Yes, of course. Exactly, right? Because, for example, just in this group alone, if we were to, I mean, scenarios on scenarios on scenarios, right? Maybe I see a bearish liquidity grab, maybe you see an order flow disruption, and maybe you see a structural disruption, right? So who's right? Oh, I didn't mean to hit my mic, I'm sorry. But who's right, you know? And like legitimately, like that's a question, like who's right? So let's say somebody sees an order flow continuation, somebody sees a liquidity grab, somebody sees a structural disruption. Who of the three is right if they each get the same result? All of them, exactly. All of them are right. Why? Because you got a favorable result based on an analysis that you made, right, via a bias that you had formulated and just executed based on whatever X method that you're using, whether it's, you know, different qualities of the same method, right? So that completely kills the argument of arguing over a bias, if that makes sense. Yeah, and when you vary with time frame, that's when you vary with types of trades that you're looking for, right? So there's always, like, for example, if you're sending somebody a chart, one chart, it's really hard to put everything into one chart. And I've really realized that over the months, especially with journals, that if somebody sends me an analysis with one or two pictures or one or two charts, then it's a lot harder for me to formulate what you're actually thinking, just because there's so much more detail in play, right? Because even if you're just a scalper, even if you're just an intraday trader, your swing bias matters. Like, I'm sorry, like, it just matters. Like, you have to have that in the back of your head. You have to acknowledge where you are going long term, because that's where the security is, right? That's why, quote unquote, you know, day trading is, you know, not the best avenue for making side money, right? Because realistically, people don't understand those internal time frames, but they do understand that the higher time frame is much more secure, and that's why people invest for the long run. But I mean, that's just, I guess, a more psychology way to look at it. But yeah. Also, bias is very subjective. Maybe someone in the chat says bias is bullish, but is referring to the bias for the day, and the other could call it bearish bias, but is talking about the bias for the next decade. Exactly. So it's really hard to be on the exact same page. So you don't really wanna argue with somebody. And there's a difference between arguing and discussing, right? You can present a case, somebody can counter your case with their case, and you have a responsible conversation, and that's how you know, walk out of it with something, you know. Whereas if you're super emotional now and you actually just want to say, no, you're wrong, I'm right, well, now that's super emotional and you get nothing out of it. Exactly. You can't argue, because everyone has different entries, exit, trade management, right? Even if they're all formulated from the same foundation, they're still different via concept. So it just, and you know, some people don't see that, but I think it's until you see that it really opens your mind to seeing how other people see the chart, right? But yeah, little rant for today, because honestly, there's not much to talk about today, if I'm being honest. You guys know this. You guys, we've been talking about these moves for weeks now. We've been talking about seeing, you know, these price points be hit, and yeah, man, like, I can't believe who would have known back in COVID that a year later or 2 years later we'd be seeing, you know, the COVID low be taken out. I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, like, legitimately today, there really isn't much to talk about. Instead of you guys showing me any cases that you want to show me, because you guys know that it's pretty much going to be the same thing that I've said for the past 2-3 weeks. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about today's stuff, I do have something else I want to talk about, but that'll be after we talk about this stuff. If anybody has any studies, any trades they want to show, if they want to cover any material here, yeah, feel free to speak up. Okay, let's look at that. Wrong one. This is so just ugly. This is so ugly. So the one thing, okay, so let me just looking at this from an intraday perspective, all right, my structural range, right, obviously high all the way into low. But this is super choppy because there was already continuation BOS here and there was a continuation BOS here. So continuation BOS is in play. That created an internal liquidity grab. Then we have structure top here. So realistically, yeah, I would argue that this would be probably bearish, because it is bearish right now. Simple fact that right, continuation BOS, unwillingness, mitigation, order flow, confirmed bearishness. So as of now, you really see more of a bearish perspective. Yeah, this has been bearish for as long as I can remember, bro. This has been bearish for as long as you've been in RCV, if I'm being 100% honest. Because we used to trade this heavy back in the day. Yeah, even before. Yeah, even before RCV. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. 6 months deep into RCV. Right here. Yeah, so literally, like, since you joined RCV, I think we've been bearish here. Yeah, imagine a year-long hold. I know a couple of people are in some year-long holds. Anthony doesn't get much on the calls here, but I know he's in that. He's in one, I'm sorry, not in this. But yeah. What's so annoying is that's only 800 pips. 800 pips in 500 days. That's a year and a half, almost. Nice, yeah, nice. I see it, I see it. I see the vision. I see the vision. So let me... Okay, so break of structure, low into high, right? But what's cool, but this looks like this might have been bearish before. I don't see this, but I'm kind of assuming that. So up until that moment, you are bearish, right? So this would be the continuation BOS, and this would be the continuation downward, because this is a solidified point. So this is now your solidified low. Once that is taken out, so this is your internal structural range, this is your invalidation, right? So now obviously your pullback is bearish, so the liquidity grab is a great way to enter. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is a great example of seeing the bearish to bullish transition, because it didn't happen here where the transition happened. The transition happened here, which is identical almost, but in principle to what we just talked about with dollar here, which here in principle is the same thing, because this is the move that created the big move to the upside, which was a transition from bearish to bullish. Even though we were already bullish here, the principle is still the same. But yeah, that's a good trade. Good trade for sure. 85, 50, 230 pips. Nice. 230 pips. I can see the invalidation there. Anyone got AU this morning? No, personally, I didn't see much this morning. Up until here, right here. So what are we, I think we've talked about, I think I saw this. I think you sent me this maybe. But yeah, what's the thought process here? Let me show you time frame. Okay. Well, I mean, I know that, I mean, you guys know I've been bearish with Bitcoin for a long time. Well, I don't know if I've actually told you guys that, but my friends know that. No, I'm just kidding. But I have been bearish on BTC for a very long time. never been bullish on it. So no, I've never been bullish on it. I don't recall us talking about this, but yeah, I've never had a legit reason to be bullish on this. Okay, right here. Yes. Yep. I believe Tomas had the same trade too. If I recall correctly. I think the CIA made BTC. We're not gonna do that today, bro. We're not gonna do that today. Vitalik is an alien. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I don't really. I just was never bullish on this, bro. I'm sorry. And I mean, even now, it's still not bullish at all. Ah, right here. Continuation. Continuation. Yeah, so you know what I find fucking hilarious? Hold on. Like, right, so I don't follow many people on Twitter, but a lot of my friends like crypto stuff. And you should have seen how happy dudes were when this happened. I think it was this right here. When this happened, people were happy as fuck. Like, we're going 100K, like, we're bullish, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what? You know, like, that doesn't make sense. Because this was recent, when we saw that initial bullish run, and people just went crazy. Like, people went crazy. And it's like, yeah, we just went from, I think the tweet that I remember is, we just went from, or BTC just went from bearish to bullish real quick. And then that shit melted. I'm like, dude, like, what? Like, look at this. Like, look at this. Don't apply anything outside of structure. What do you see? Don't apply anything outside of structure. What do you see? What do we see here? Because if you guys want me to be honest, I've never been bullish on this. I don't think we've had enough data, especially here, because a lot of momentum came into play here. So obviously there's a lot of volume coming in. So obviously here we are in bearish structure, but high momentum here, right? And high momentum takes that. So I was technically bearish. I was bearish here. And that confirmed the reaction. So once we saw this run up, I'm like, okay, I'm not necessarily bullish because I want to catch a bearish transition. Or a bullish transition on a bearish pullback, right? And that was technically here. So once that broke, I'm like, okay, we're 100% not bullish anymore, right? Why? Oh, wrong one. 100% bearish because we just ran on liquidity and we just took out not only preliminary structure here, but also here. And there is technically order flow disruption there. But once we also saw this, and then the continuation there, I'm like, okay, we're 100%. Just, this is not flying anytime soon, right? Unless you see the bullish transition, which the bullish transition here wouldn't really be too valid until that's broken. Because this is your internal structural range and your pullback. So I don't know what we're bouncing off of now. Because the way that I saw this on why I've been especially bearish over the past 2 to 3 weeks was because of right, obviously we see relative equal highs are taken, and then the internal was taken there, so that's automatically a bearish liquidity grab on bearish order flow disruption, on bearish order flow disruption, right, on bearish liquidity grab. So it's just, how is this bullish, you know? Like, how? I can't justify it. And maybe it's just the pessimist in me that doesn't really want to see all of this, or see everybody just become rich out of nowhere, but it just doesn't make sense. I can't make a coherent argument as to why this is bullish from a technical stance, right? Yeah, I need to do something about that dog, guys. I'm sorry, but I need to do something about that dog. Yep. And by data, just look at the candles, dude. Just look at the candles. Like, I don't think, like, look, even if worst to worst, right, you don't trade after, let's say, 4 to 5 years from now, knowing how to read a chart just simply from a structure stance is so important. And I don't think people reiterate that enough, right? Structure alone will literally get you pretty nice stock investments, if I'm being completely honest. If you can understand solidified points and structural ranges, you know what your invalidation is. So just play based on the invalidation. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know how to answer that. I wouldn't know how to tell you that. But at the same time, you have to realize, like, trading's only like 50 years old. Day trading started like what, 1970? Something like that. Okay, I'm sorry, 1867. Interesting. Oh, okay, never mind. This is what I saw, 1975. Day trading game probably after the deregulation of so it's been a thing since 1867, but it's been popular since 1975. That's why I said 50 years. So yeah, this is still such a new thing. And I mean, honestly, just based on what I've seen, even if not necessarily the rate of quote unquote percentage of traders profiting has increased, because I don't really know how to read that, right? I will say that the average level of technical analysis has really improved over the past couple of years, right? Most people now can at least read a chart that have day traded and actually dedicated their time into it, right? And that, I mean, that could be biased with me only seeing primarily you guys, but I think as a whole, I've seen people just have a higher standard of technical analysis than we've had maybe 2-3 years ago. And I think it's only going to get better with time. But yeah, that's going to be definitely super interesting in time. It's going to be very interesting. Because I actually think that people are built for trading. Well, some people, obviously. So, for example, with more exposure to trading, more possibilities of people actually, or finding people that are actually going to be good at it, right? Have the mind frame for it, have the patience for it, right? Have all the characteristics for it, right? I do see, you know, the rate of, you know, not only the average level of technical analysis, but the average amount of people that actually profit. I do see that going up over time. Like, it has to. It just has to, in my opinion. I think technical analysis is becoming super popular. I think people are becoming better with the technical analysis. But it could just be me. I mean, not that I really like care about it, but I mean, it's just what I think. So I don't necessarily want to think about 10 years in time just yet, bro. Give me like 5 first. But yeah, does anybody have any studies they want to show? But yeah, BTC. Bearish. What'd you miss? So who wants to catch this guy up? Let's see, what did we talk about today actually? So we start off with the Zoom, excuse me. Then we talked about, right, how it doesn't make sense to argue with somebody about a bias. Right, if stuff is objective. Then we went over some case studies. Talked about crypto, showed why I don't think crypto, or why I don't think BTC will be bullish anytime soon. Yeah, so yeah, pretty much everything, bro. I'm sorry. But does anybody have any studies they want to show? Choppy week. I wouldn't say choppy. I would just say today just played out the move, or this week played the move that we've been anticipating for the past 2-3 weeks, or 2-3 months. I'm sorry. Like, that weekly candle is gonna be fat. Yeah, yeah.
I'll show study. I forgot beginning of the week. I'll show study 1 second. So I think this is Sunday I caught a move on EURUSD, which was Sunday, which would have been
the 24th.
Right here. Pretty much, I think the narrative was bearish. We talked about this liquidity grab
on Friday.
Yeah, liquidity grab saw market open on Sunday, and pretty much basically what I saw was leg retracement, and then I seen internal structure shift. So breaking market structure, whatever one you want to consider.
This leg, preliminary break, solidify this entire range and validation up here. And then I was really just playing this internal transition as well. So I had internal break of structure, price pull back, create a new low, and then really this liquidity grab or whatever. It just kind of solidified the range. And I caught this move right here with my invalidation there. That was really the only move I really caught this week, to be honest. Now, again, it was just going off of the higher time frame narrative, bearish leg, retracement, internal reaction, and then this trade played out. Obviously, it played out well. This is like probably a 400 pip, not 400 pip, but crazy move. And let me actually see what our on that was. Yeah. And I obviously partialed out, but just the potential of this is crazy. And so whatever it's at now, let's see. So you could have peaked out at 1 to 147 off of this reaction. And this happened during the Asian session. So that was really the only move I caught. Partial out down here. That's has to be my FT ball. So
nice. I like that. So pretty much just continuation, SL and validation, pretty much.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, man, pretty routine for you now.
Yeah, bro.
No, yeah, but I mean, does anybody else have anything they want to show? But aren't you guys afraid about the war? What would they maybe? I'm thinking about this shit every night. It's hard for me to talk about that, one, because I don't know all the details. Two, like, obviously we know I don't want to, say something stupid. So it's really hard for me to give you my perspective on that, bro, because that's a super sensitive thing. And yeah, bro, I haven't seen TV in months. Like, literally, I think yesterday was the first time I've actually seen TV in a couple of weeks, and it was a basketball game. Yeah, like, I don't look at the news. I don't, so it's kind of hard for me to stay on track with that. But how is it over there where you are, Nico? Really? Yeah, man. I mean, it's really hard for me to give you an opinion on that now. It's just really hard, but I don't want to give you something that, I just don't want to say something stupid, bro. But yeah, actually, bro, DM me some stuff. I'd actually like to talk about it with you, but I first need you to like inform me, if that's cool with you. Yeah, we can talk about it after the Zoom. But yeah, I guess that's it for the reviews. Okay, so last thing I'm gonna bring up today, right? So number one thing, something I've pretty much it's been in the back of my mind for the past couple of months, and it's really changed a lot. The number one reason why you guys are here is because I am the medium of RCV and you guys wish to learn X material, right? That is the number one reason why you're here. That is the number one way that I can provide value to you. Well, directly, right? Because that's what you're looking for. But in reality, right, I'm 23 years old. My life experience is super, super dim in comparison to a lot of people that are in this group. We have doctors in the group. We have psychologists in the group, right? We have fucking plumbers in the group. Like, obviously there's so much value that you guys can bring to me. And something I really wanted to realize or wanted to talk about in the past couple of months, but I didn't really bring it up because I wanted to experience it firsthand, right? And it's it's going to be like a super touchy thing, but it's just something that's really changed my view on things over the past couple of months. So since school started in January, right, it's always been hard for me to balance trading, RCVs, school, soccer, social life. It's been borderline impossible. Not necessarily because of the time thing, but just trying to force myself to focus in every single little thing that I want to do, right? And that includes with trading, that includes with RCV, that includes with extra projects I want to work on, that includes school, homework, projects, social life, all of that stuff. Honestly, it was not working. And I had to really take a step back from a lot of what I was doing, because I realized that most of what I was doing was leading me into a super isolated lifestyle. Because obviously the first thing I gave up was my social life, right? So now everything I do in my life is not dependent on, but it's revolving around trading, school, and that's it. Trading and school. So I pretty much ran myself into a hole. I'd burnt myself out. I realized, look, like, this is not fulfilling me. I'm super isolated, borderline lonely. I don't really know what to do. So what I did was really just take one step back, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna keep trading. I'm gonna keep doing my responsibilities with RCV. I'm gonna keep going to school. But other than that, I'm not gonna focus on business things. I'm gonna focus on something that fulfills me, something that, really would matter to me in the long run. And over the past 3.5 months, that's pretty much been what I focused on. And I've really focused on trying to build my relationships with people. And I have to say, it's one of the most fulfilling things that I've ever done in my life. I've never ever felt so fulfilled in my life. And now that school is pretty much done, my hardest semester finishes in 2 weeks. Now I get to finally transition back more into giving you guys much more attention and focusing on my other projects. But now my perspective is much more fulfilled. I wouldn't want to say I wasn't fulfilled a long time ago, but it wasn't something that I thought about. And once I did think about it, I wasn't able to answer it. So I wanted to ask you guys, and obviously you don't have to tell me here. You could, because obviously we're being recorded, and you guys can DM me this, but I'd like to know from you guys' perspective, because I know all of you are the age group in this call right now is a bit distinct, but what have you found fulfilling and why? That's what I want to know. And it's, like, I had pictured this conversation in my head, so I hope I did not just chop that up completely. And, well, actually, before you tell me what fulfills you, I'd like to know, are you fulfilled or not? And why? And if none of you want to talk about it, it's 100% okay. You guys, I'd love to talk about it one-on-one, but it's just something to think about, because I want to talk about this stuff with the people that are watching the recorded call too. So, okay, so in that perspective, what do you think fulfillment is? Because you say most fulfilling thing is experiencing new things for me. What exactly do you think fulfillment is? Excuse me. You see, bro, but you say that, what do you know at your 18? But me at 18, I could not give two shits about what fulfilled me, bro. I could not give two shits at 18. So for me, right, what I've realized over the past couple of months, fulfillment to me is what brings, legitimate, how do I put this? Like, fulfillment to me would pretty much be to, I'm trying to word this in a way where I won't confuse you. I don't want to say success, because that's a bit too linear, but I want to say to get something that I've desired. right? So fulfillment to me would be to get something that I think, or not that I think, but something that does, or that is desirable from my POV. Now, the real question is, what do you desire? Because it's one thing to say, I want what I desire, but it's another thing to say, what do I desire? And that's something that I've been trying to figure out for the past couple of years, you know? I thought it was money. I found money, and that was not it. Trust me, that was not it. Like, money made me more depressed than ever, and I didn't understand why. I'm still working on relationships myself and my productivity. Yeah, bro. So here's the thing. Today, I feel more fulfilled than I've ever felt, and I wouldn't say I'm where I'm at weight-wise. I am not where I'm at with my relationships. I am not where I'm at spiritually, but I think what I found fulfilling is that I'm doing something every day to get to it. And I think that's what is really just, you know, propelled that process a bit further. Okay, so your desire is to create memories, and your avenue to create memories is freedom. So now, obviously, that would be pretty much what your desire would be. Yeah, I see that. And it could be just a thing that, you know, it could just be me growing up, you know, but I just think it's super interesting. I personally don't feel like I will ever be fulfilled. I have to do everything at 100%. Otherwise, I don't want to do it. I think we're talking about two different types of fulfillments. Because I was in that type of mindset back in 2020, where I feel like I have to go 100% hard, right, to get the biggest return in order for that to give me the biggest level of fulfillment. And it wasn't it. I mean, not saying that it won't work for you, right, but I'm just saying it wasn't it for me. Because you legitimately have to sit down and talk to yourself about this. Like, what the fuck do I want out of life? And I'm pretty sure there's like I said, there's a couple of people in here that legitimate, like, they have family, like there's people here with kids, you know? So their perspective, their response, I would greatly appreciate, just because they've been through life more than I have, you know? But yeah, let's see. Giving back, money comes and goes, but building relationships and achieving and celebrating stuff with someone is better than doing it alone. But what if you do it alone? So you're telling me celebrating something with somebody is 100% better than doing it and celebrating something by yourself. I would disagree there. Because these days, I don't mind being alone. I prefer being alone. But that doesn't mean I neglect people, you know? And there's a big, like Sergio told me this a long time ago. There's a massive difference between being alone and being lonely. And a lot of, I know a lot of guys, personally, because I've been there, I could see it in some guys' eyes. Like, I can see if a guy is lonely. I could see if a guy wants somebody to talk to. I can see, you know, stuff like that. And I've seen that in a lot of my friends, man. Like, something I've done since high school, I never let success, I never let money, I never let anything come in between me and my relationships. My relationships with people have never revolved around, or have never, you know, changed even with success. It's, I don't know, it's just something I've prided myself on. So the same close friends that I had close to high school, I kind of still talk to them today, and we hang out here and there, right? And I don't know, it's just, you know, I see it in some people, and I hate that shit. Like many people don't give a fuck about how guys feel, you know what I'm saying? So luckily for you, you got me, right? But that was just a joke, by the way. That's just a joke. I think it was in a certain place to you, but in an opposite way. I was unable to focus on training while balancing social life, school, and applications. While I was happy interacting with friends and going on trips, I feel like I could be doing more training wise. And it's one of my passions too, and I felt like I was neglecting it. Fulfillment, I think, would be balance. Balance. That's a good one. That's a good one. I don't think I can say anything against that one, yeah. I prefer being alone nowadays, but I'm not lonely, just really wanting to focus right now for a couple of years. Yeah. So I think the main thing that I just want you to get out of this is just figure out what the fuck you want. Many people want to say they want to trade, but in reality, they just want money, right? But why do you want money? Whether it be for freedom, or whether it be for just paying the bills, or whether it just be to get some free time with my wife here and there, you know what I mean? You got to figure out what you want. And that's just, I don't know. That's just my only takeaway for today. But yeah, it's been a tough couple of months, but you know, maybe, and I could also argue that school borderline made me depressed because I don't want to be there, like, ever. Like, I'm forcing myself to go to school, but I don't know, now that school's pretty much over, I can tackle life with a different POV. But yeah, I think that's that'll pretty much wrap it up for today. Cause yeah, man, like, I just want to be a rational guy, that's all. Like, whenever my friends or me like talk about this stuff, it's just like, look bro, like, whenever somebody tries to tell me something, whatever they say has to align with the entire conversation, right? Because if you can't coherently tell me that, or coherently give me your point and support your point, then I think you're full of shit. And not in a bad way, but I'm going to challenge your thoughts. And that's kind of how I've built my relationships these days. Yo, miss school? Damn it, you almost made me choke on that one. 11 years later. So I'm assuming you're 30? I'm assuming you're early 30s? Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, so you didn't go to college then? Or you did go to college, but I don't know. I don't know how the UK school system works. Something I will say though is I heard school in Europe is a lot harder than school in the US. Electrical engineering, awesome. Dope. Wait. Oh, and also here's something that like I wonder. For example, you as an electrical engineer, I'm assuming you may have a girlfriend. I don't know if you have kids, but that's besides the point. No kids, but I'm assuming a wife or something like a wife. Girlfriend of 8 years. Okay, so basically a wife. Yes. How is that process like? Like, how do you not reach contentment? Because yesterday, right? I went out with somebody that I'm talking to, whatever, hung out with her coworkers, and she was telling me about one of her coworkers trying to talk to another one of her coworkers, but the girl doesn't like the guy. And when I see the guy's 27 years old, he has a pretty good job, but he doesn't look out for himself. He's not fit. He has a little bit of a dad bod going, but he doesn't have kids, right? But my question is, how do you become that content? Like, you know, I would, like, for me, for example, by 27, I would have wanted X, X, and X done, but I don't understand how people can reach a level of contentment. Like, would you say you reached a level of contentment would you say you got it and got out of it, or would you say you haven't got there? Like, how does that work at your point? But you see, you're still ambitious, and you're still coachable because you're here listening to a fucking 23-year-old, you know? So you're obviously you're still grinding, you're still motivated, you're still driven. Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, autopilot, okay. But I wonder how people just reach that level of contentment, or like, I wonder if you do face that challenge at that age point, like around late 20s, early 30s, like if you do reach that contentment point. Yeah, I guess you're right. Okay, so motivation. So a goal. Okay, a goal. Okay. Interesting. But yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I just like, I legit had like a moment where I did not understand. And it's such a primitive thing. Like, well, not a primitive thing, but it's such a simple thing. For example, like what I'm saying, what I did yesterday. So, coworker, the girl, does not like the guy because he's not, you know, he's pretty much super content. But the guy likes the girl, but the girl won't date the guy because he's content. But the guy won't be uncontent. Okay, that makes sense. So the mind frame is there. The mind frame is there. Okay. But yeah, I'll never understand that because I'm over here stressing over, well, not necessarily stressing, but I'm over here like, yeah, like, you know, like I'm nowhere near content. I want to do this, and this, and I want to do this, and this, and then I want to do that. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's cool. That's cool. You don't feel 30. Well, just so you know, 30 is not old, bro. In my opinion, I don't think you're old till like 50. Yeah, bro, I'm single. I've been single forever, bro. But if y'all want to have a relationship talk, nah, I don't know if I'm ready for that, but it could be a cool thought we could talk about. And I know some of you older people would just school me with it, but maybe one day. It's usually with a good woman for sure. Yeah, it's just the issue is finding that good woman. No, yeah, of course. No. Look, I'm single, but I've been through a lot of situationships, if you know what I mean. I've been through a lot of situationships. Sergio knows this, but we're not gonna get into it. But fingers crossed on this one, bro. Fingers crossed. But yeah, I will say having somebody like that around is really cool. And I don't see it. And you know what? You know what's funny? You know what's funny? I had this conversation last night with that person. I said, look, like every time I've seen any of my friends, their relationships fail, I say it's always 1, they move in together, 2, they rush into it, 3, they suck at communication, and 4, they're in the relationship for the wrong reason. So like the way that I see a relationship is I don't necessarily see what I see, right, is I don't see a relationship as, well, the way that I see a relationship is as a partnership, right? I see a relationship as a partnership, and I see it as that person being a positive outlet for the other person. That's how I see a relationship. And if the other person doesn't see it like that, then okay, bye. That's it. Never move in with a girl. Yeah, bro, I've heard. I've definitely heard. But it definitely varies by relationship. But I don't want to, you know, give business out like that. Quickest way to cure a relationship. I've heard, bro. I've really heard. That has actually been what I've heard with relationships. That's the easiest way to kill it. And we have girls in the group, so they can definitely confirm. Better to just kiss the homies. Fuck. That's funny. Yeah, man, like, don't get me wrong, I fucking love my personal space, bro. Like so what I've heard about moving in is people change. That's what I heard. People change when they move in. Yeah. Like, personally, I think I would hate living with a girl, if I'm being honest. And then she's, yeah, it's just, no. Wait, what? Pause. Hold up. Let me not put that on the fucking recording. Hold up. Same reason why friendships get strained when y'all roommates, I'd say. Nah, bro. I would not compare that. For example, moving in with a girl is not the same as moving in with your homie. Oh, okay. Yeah, bread on demon time for real, man. Yeah, let's see. Respecting boundaries and having your own space. Dude, that's what I'm fucking saying. Like, you know how I've reinforced all of my relationships over the past couple of months? Is fucking communicating. Like, do you have any idea how many people do not know how to fucking communicate? Like, just a simple, hey bro, blah 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 blah, and blah 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 blah. Okay. And that's it. People cannot fucking communicate. And what I've done to reinforce a lot of my relationships is, if I see some shit I don't like from a friend, like, look, I'm gonna tell you that shit straight up to your face. Right, but I'm gonna say it in a way where it's like, look, bro, this is my case. I don't like this shit, and here's why I don't like this shit. So are we gonna fix this shit or whatever, you know? And I think that's really, really helped a lot of my relationships over the past couple of months. What you say, bro? That's funny. Yeah, but communication becomes conflicting when it's emotional. You see, like, I can give you my case on whatever the fuck I don't like, and straight up just give you whatever it is that it is. And look, like, you know, like, this is it, blah blah blah, end of story. After today, I don't really care. We're still cool, whatever. Like, this is not personal. This is just me literally letting you know some shit that I don't like. I mean, I think I've noticed situationships have gone better when I've been blunt. Yeah, I agree on that one there. And that's something I actually have seen with other people too. Because it's so weird, like, Like, the principles apply to dating too, right? But dating is so different everywhere. Like, I bet dating in the UK is so different to dating here in Dallas, but I'm pretty sure the same principles apply. It also depends what kind of girl you're talking about, because look, like, I could go to like one of the nicer clubs here in Dallas and you meet gold diggers like this, right? But then again, if you meet a girl through a friend, she could be a straight up homebody, and it's a completely different thing, you know? Oh no. Yeah, I'm never going to the Caribbean, bro. I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, other than that, guys, I gotta do a couple things today, so I think we can end off the call here. But yeah, guys, an hour 12 minutes, not bad. But yeah, unless anybody else has something they want to bring up, yeah, definitely. But yeah, man, just trying to be a rational guy, that's all. Yeah, man. You guys take care, alright? I'll see you guys on Tuesday.